Yeah, this is now part 3 of episode 219. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, rate, follow across all platforms. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts. Check us out on our socials, on Instagram at No Hangover and on TikTok at No_Hangover. And now we got our third artist we're making this Cleveland Orlando connection. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, y'all? My name is Astro Blaze, and y'all can find me at Astro Blaze 216 on everything.
Hey, there you go. So you told me you're a new artist. So when did you start rapping? When did you start getting into the game?
So I always been making music, but I never really started taking it like too seriously. I met this dude I was working with, and he like just heard some shit fucking around, and he was like, "Bro, you actually like could do something with this, bro. Like, you ever thought about taking it serious?" So I kind of let him just start managing me a little bit, and then I started meeting some artists up in Cleveland, like the other two dudes that was on.
Yeah.
Just kind of been rolling with it, man. Just trying to learn, absorb everything, just be in the right place at the right time, for real.
I mean, that's timing is quite an important thing. You know,
right.
You kind of, you can either figure it out or you don't. How'd you link up with these two other guys, Spazzo and KT?
I just started going to the studio, and my producer that I was working with, she did my whole first album. She had a couple features on there too. She linked me up with Spazzo, and then through him, I just met KT, and we just been linking up. And then he brought up the trip. I was like, yeah, man, let's rock and roll, man.
Fucking, and y'all drove down here. I know that was a fucking hell of a drive.
All through the night and shit. Them hills of West Virginia and shit, bro.
Hey, that's part of the grind, though. I mean, you got to do that fucking, the grind before the success, and really trying to make a dream a reality.
Yes, sir.
Is this? I mean, so you said you've kind of dabbled a little bit. What was it that I guess how old were you really? Even if it was just dabbling, playing around, how old were you when you started kind of figuring out that, oh shit, I can kind of spit a little bit, like even if it's just fucking around?
Yeah, so my aunt was actually a music teacher, so she made me take music, and I was in band, and then I wasn't really like the music or like playing it like with my hands and shit, and like learning the notes, but I could sing. So she made me switch over to choir, and then I did that. And then after high school, I just kind of with just random people, but I come from like real small town. That's where I grew up. So like there wasn't really like no opportunity, no nothing out there. So and now I finally just moved up to Cleveland, and then it just started happening for real. Like I was like, man, let me try this. And
how far outside of Cleveland was the town that you grew up in?
Probably like an hour and a half south.
All right.
Yeah.
Damn. So you went out there kind of like you said searching for more opportunity. Was it opportunity in music or just opportunity in general?
Man, just opportunity in general. There wasn't nothing out there but like one McDonald's and a Subway and like corner store gas stations, man. Like it wasn't nothing. So like, yeah, I really just had moved up there, and I got a job up there and just started living, man. Just moved to the city and shouted out. And I loved it. I never lived back since. Yeah. So.
Hey, how was that like? How was that change of scenery? Because I grew up in Orlando my whole life, but I lived in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I don't know if you know anything about it. Small ass
right
fucking so like I lived there for a year, and like I had a good time. I made the most of it. I had fun, but it was definitely like it definitely made Orlando look so much bigger. It definitely
no, it's cool. It's just it was slow where I was at, just nothing was happening. I just like I don't know. It's for the people that just want to chill, like the family life and shit. I understand all that, but like it just wasn't me. I just need something a little more fast paced. Like, shit all over the place.
Where do you think that comes from? Where do you think that ambition comes from?
Man, I don't know. I was actually born in Toledo, so I was in the city a little bit, and then my aunt and uncle had raised me up like out in the country, and it was all cornfields and shit like that. But man, I don't know. I always been a go getter though. Like if I wanted to do something, like I always go do it, and I'll see it out to the fullest and try to put my all into that.
Yeah, I mean that's how I feel like that's the only way to do shit. You gotta if you're gonna do something, you might as well do it all the way instead of fucking half-assing that shit and then wondering why shit ain't fucking happening for you. So you say you were in choir and music. So your family kind of musically inclined a little bit. Like you can kind of, that's kind of something that came natural, no?
Yeah. It was always like everybody. I just always had music growing up. My aunt did a lot of shit. She traveled over in Europe and shit with her high school some band. I think it was a jazz band or something.
Yeah.
They like traveled around, so that was kind of cool. She had like records out and shit.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
that's dope.
It was kind of cool. So it's just always been playing around the house, and I don't know.
What kind of music was being played when you were growing up? Like, you know,
she played a lot of jazz, so like they was a lot older than like a lot of the parents my age, or you know, for kids my age. So it was like Fleetwood Mac and like Chicago, shit like that, with like melodies and shit. And I don't know. I just started kind of venturing out, finding my own shit over time. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's a good foundation though too. Like, you know, going into something and you already kind of have like it feels like you don't have the tunnel vision. Like you're open to hearing different shit and like getting on to different shit and not being closed off and like I gotta stick to this because this is what's gonna work. Like you can kind of venture out and get on different shit. I haven't really listened to any of your music, so like what is, you know, I guess what is your style? Like what's your style as far as?
So my first album, I be trying to tap into like everything. My first album was like mainly pop though. It's like shit you would hear on the radio. I feel like, you know, growing up, I grew up, like I was younger in like the early like 2000s, 2010. So like that kind of pop was like really like heavy to me, like that club pop.
Yeah.
But there's really some shit on there for everybody. But yeah, mostly just like pop, R&B, shit like that, a little rock here and there.
Yeah. So I mean, who are some artists that you look up to or that inspire you or that you kind of draw inspiration from?
My biggest one, and shout out to the city, but MGK, he really putting on the city, and I feel like a lot of people that listen to me also say I give the same types of vibes that he do. So yeah, I mean, like hopefully they saying it in a good way. Yeah, I'll take it, bro. Like I seen that dude in concert a couple times. Like he really putting on for the city. I've been following him since the beginning, like that. For real, since Half Naked Almost Famous, his first shit, I've been bumping dudes.
Hey, and I mean that's, you know, that's how you know, kind of mold yourself as a, I mean, an artist, as a person, or you know, whatever field you're in. You got to find somebody that's kind of, you know, pulling you towards that direction, and you know that's gonna
really pay the way for all of us, like Cuddy from there and shit too, and all them. But like,
yeah, no, Spazzo told me that fucking Bone Thugs and Harmony was from Cleveland too. I didn't know that shit. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. So that's pretty dope.
He really like they was doing something, but he really like took it out of America. Like he made it huge.
Yeah,
bro. Like he international. Everybody know that dude now.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, shout out to him, bro.
I mean, shit, he was also able, you know, he you know, jumped genres a little bit, and you know, he started with the rap, and so I mean, so I mean, I feel like that kind of goes to show though, like, you know, as long as you can kind of get your foot in the door, like then you can kind of do what you want with it. But you know, you kind of have to find a lane first to get your foot in the door and kind of make some noise before you can kind of, because that's kind of an issue that I've had a little bit, that I like to talk about all different types of shit. I like talking about sports, obviously I like talking about music, current events, like shit that's going on. But you know, you kind of have to find your lane and find that niche, and you know, to get that target audience. And then once you get big enough, then you can, hey, if you want to go fucking do some rock songs, go the fuck ahead. If you want to go talk about some sports and or whatever current events going on, all right, now you can do so. But you have to find that lane first, which I feel like is kind of hard for, especially for artists that, you know, you're expressing yourself. You're trying to find that, you know, let people know what you're about and shit like that. And you don't really want to put yourself in that box, especially creatively. You don't want to put yourself in that box, but I feel like you kind of naturally kind of have to like, again, kind of get your foot in the door a little bit and shit like that. You know, it's kind of the shitty part of, you know, trying to break through in some type of entertainment or some shit like that. But, so is this your first time in Florida too?
No, I went down here. I went to Disney World down here. Yeah, I went to that when I was a kid. Yeah. So.
But it's your first time kind of like on your own, kind of like visiting. How you like it so far?
Man, we went to the beach yesterday, and yeah, I love it, man. The ocean and shit, bro. That shit crazy.
That was your first time going to the beach?
No, I went to Myrtle a couple years back after high school. But
that shit was whack. Not the same as down here. Nah, those beaches ain't the same as down here. Nah, that's what's up though. I mean, I'm from Orlando. I'm from Florida, so I put on. I love where I'm from. I definitely, and again, moving out, moving away, definitely, helps put things in perspective, and it really made me appreciate, where I'm from a lot more too.
What was you moving up there for?
Just to kind of, get away. I had just graduated high school. I dropped out of college, and I was here. It's not like I was doing anything bad, but I just really wasn't doing anything. Yeah, so I was just kind of in a rut. Yeah, and my dad lived up there at the time, so I called him up and like, hey, like, I'm not doing anything bad. I'm not doing anything. Like, do you mind if I go live up there with you? And he's like, all right, let me talk to my wife real quick. I'll let you know. And he called me the next day. He's like, it's a go. Like, when do you plan on coming up here? I'm like, shit, give me 2 weeks and I'll be up there. Yeah. Fuck, I was working at a pizza shop, so I was delivering pizzas and washing dishes. So put in my 2 weeks. I got as much hours as I could in those 2 weeks, and
try to stack up. And
then I dipped. I packed my fucking PT Cruiser and drove that shit 13 hours straight up to fucking Pennsylvania. And was up there for a year. But I definitely, it's. I feel like if you ever get the opportunity to, move away from your or, kind of, get away, I think I think you should take it, because for me at least, like, it definitely helped me kind of figure out who I am, kind of, figure out what path I wanted to take. It helped me, find myself in that sense, because, I had my dad there, but I don't have any friends. Like, I had to go make my own friends. I had to go find a job, had to go do all other shit, and it gets you out of your comfort zone. Yeah. So, you
can't call home. You can't run home every time. Like, you really got to, like, boss up.
Right, yeah. So that shit definitely fucking helped. And, anybody who, I'll be the first to be like, love where you're from, but also, get out a little bit. See what's out there. See, you never know what's going to be out there for you, So, I mean, what kind of opportunities has, making music and things like that provided for you?
And just meeting and networking for real. I've met a lot of cool people. I got to do some shows, couple paid performances and shit. Just I said I'm new, so I'm just trying to absorb everything right now and just listen and trying to put a plan together. I got a little music out, but that was just like to show people something.
Yeah,
so
now
I'm really trying to dive in and do certain things, So there's a lot coming up. Just trying to make the right moves. What I mean? Learn from everybody around me, and just everybody's been so supportive. And it's been really cool. It's a culture for sure up where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like a community, not competition. Yeah. That's what I love about it. Like, everybody, like, there are some whack, people out there think, whatever, but for the most part, it's been cool. It's been a dope community to get into.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. I mean, what do you got, where the summer just started, so that's usually when people are, trying to put shit out and kind of, get their name out there, especially, for someone who's, fresh in the game. So, you got, what do you got, cooking up, for the rest of the year? I guess for the summer, but for the rest of the year. We're already halfway through this bitch.
I just dropped my album like a month ago. I dropped it a little early before the summer started or whatever. But, it's like I said, it was to get it out. And then, man, I got 2 more albums written already. So I'm trying to get one of those done and drop before the end of this year. And then probably performing a lot next year. Just trying to travel around. Just trying to, like, once I got enough music out, then I could start really pushing something. You know what I mean? So really just trying to boost that catalog, and then
I mean, and that's, I've mentioned this a couple of times, but Russ, I don't know if you listen to him talk or anything, but but I mean, he says the same thing. I mean, he's been on it for a while. He's like, I would put out a song, putting a song out every week, for however long, and then once you get that one song that blows up, you have a whole catalog to people to go back to and listen to, and kind of, and
because I hate when I find a new artist and then I go to their page and they only got a couple songs.
It's just disappointing.
Bro. I'll never see you again. Type shit. Like, I get it too. I'm a listener too of the art, so like I'm not just making it too. Like,
student of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I feel like that's how you got to go about it too. If you're really trying to level up and really trying to make something, you gotta know what the people before you have done, so you're not over here tripping over their mistakes and shit like that. You know what I mean? So that definitely, when I hear people say that, it definitely is it's like, all right, bet they
recognize game.
Yeah, pretty much. Like they got a plan in place. Like they got the bigger picture already. They just kind of, it's how am I gonna get there? So I mean, what's your process as far as like, when you feel inspired and I bet like I want to write something or I'm gonna put something down, like are you someone who listens to a beat first and then writes to it, or you got shit written down and when you find something it's like, all right, this is gonna fucking hit hard with this shit? Like what's that process like for you?
Man, it's a little of both. So like with my job, I'm working 2 jobs right now, so I'll just be listening to beats all day. So sometimes a certain beat just hit me and I'm like, oh shit, and then it just play, and then I'll figure it out. But other times I got like maybe I had a shawty the night before, did something crazy, and it's on my mind, and I gotta go find the beat for it.
You fucking thinking about that shit.
Yeah.
Daydreaming.
So like, I don't know, it's a little of both. It's a little of both, for real.
Yeah. What's so like, what are you usually rapping about? Like, obviously, I mean, I'm sure like, you're drawing shit from real life experiences, shit that you've gone through. But I also know some people that kind of, which I feel like is pretty difficult, but like, rapping through somebody else's perspective and, giving it like that. But what is your main style right now? Like,
man, I just been making songs for the women right now. Really.
Oh,
yeah. Honestly, just like trying to, I don't know.
You a ladies man?
Yeah.
I could tell. Hey, game recognizes game, dog.
On the camera, bro, because I don't know who are gonna be watching this one day. But shit, I don't want to say too much.
Hey, but I mean, the harsh reality of this shit is that most women know.
Yeah.
They already know. That's why they fuck with you.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard
everybody want to get a little piece of the rock?
Yeah. Have you ever heard the phrase that 80% of the women only want to date 20% of the men?
I'm 80%.
It's like that though. The ladies know who, as much as you might want to hide it and shit like that, they know what's good, and they might play dumb and shit, or they may call you out, but they know what the fuck is good.
I'm not the one you take home to your parents, bro. They know that. I know that.
Hey, fair enough, man. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Shit. Nah, that's
but you too though, bro. You clean. You got the braids and shit on.
Yeah, I just got this shit done fucking yesterday, actually.
Oh yeah, so, I just got one done before we came down.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been, especially again, it be getting hot as fuck down here sometimes, and I work outside, so it definitely comes in handy. But yeah, I mean, I feel like just in any field, but more more specifically to this, whether it's it's entertainment, music, podcast, where you're putting yourself out there, part of it is whether you like it or not, part of it is an image, and you have to you have to understand what you're trying to put out, what type of image you're trying to put out, what type of message, what you're trying to give. And part of that is how you dress, how you look, how you accessorize yourself, how you carry yourself is is a big thing, because you can have great music. I could be talking, fucking putting out the fucking wisdom and spitting the most game and shit like that. But if I don't look appealing or aesthetically I don't look appealing,
nobody's gonna stop.
Man, look at this bum fucking talking shit. He probably doesn't he's just saying shit that he read in a book and not even really living that shit or whatever. So I mean,
there's a lot of that out there too.
Right. I know. I was gonna ask, like, how important is that to you that what you're writing, what you're rapping, you're actually out there doing it, and the authenticity of your music, like how.
Oh yeah, so like I definitely don't be saying anything I don't do or haven't done, or like so. Sometimes you manifest things in a song. For sure. But like if I'm talking about like, I'm not out here talking about no like selling drugs. I'm not doing that. Like, bro, I'm just out here talking about being a player, a little lover boy. You know what I'm saying? That's mostly what I'm on right now. So I'll just be talking about that for real.
Yeah. I mean,
trying to keep it, just talk about Cleveland, my homies, shit like that. I don't know, being authentic, that's like really all you got these days. Is just like you said, the image and what you got going on. So like once that's tarnished, bro, like the cancel culture is so real these days. Like it's hard to bounce back, especially if you don't have the platform already.
Right. I mean? Yeah.
So
which I feel like it's a little different with music and podcasting, because that's kind of this is me giving my opinion. So it might be there might be some touchy subjects that other people might not want to touch, but I kind of have to, dive into that because that's what I do. I give my opinion on shit. But most of the time, it's not like an inauthentic opinion. Like what I'm saying, I believe. And if it's something that might be a little, out there or a little outlandish, like I have the platform to explain myself, give context behind it. What I appreciate about music is that you really only got like a 2.5-3 minute window to kind of get off what you're trying to put out there and kind of tell that story and things like that. So that's something I always appreciate when somebody can tell that story or give that message in a fucking 2.5 minute window.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean
that's tricky sometimes, man.
Bro, I bet because you
back to the lab. You go back there 6-7 times sometimes because it just ain't right.
Yeah. How often? I mean, is that something that happens often that you just like? I guess my question is like, how long does it usually take you to like put out a song that you feel comfortable? Like, all right, like I know I've kind of like dotted my I's, crossed my T's. I make sure everything is kind of to my standard in a sense.
So what I do is I go in there and I lay everything down for a track that I got, and then me and my team will listen to it for like a good week or two, and then I normally do a session like every 2 weeks, and then I'll do another song with that one. I'll go back in, finish that one, start the next one, and then I'll just keep it like that, just so I keep one going at all times. And plus, like, I feel like if you let shit in your vault for too long, like, it just gets lost, what I mean? Shit like that. So I try to keep it just always rotating, always staying busy and shit with it.
How is it, where are you usually recording? Like, you paying for studio time or you got so I bet that shit fucking adds up. Yeah, because especially, in the way that you just said that it's kind of like, you're going back and revising shit, going back, are you doing that before you hit the studio, or you kind of go in the studio and like I didn't like how that was.
I try to go as most prepared to the studio as you can. Like sometimes like shit comes out of you when you in the booth that you wasn't even expecting, So it's like, oh shit, okay, let me go ask. That made me think of this. But like for the most part, I try to go the most planned like in there as I can, because that, like you said, that shit's expensive, bro. Like. We ain't got no minutes to waste in there. You know what I mean? Like we could talk after in the parking lot type shit. Like we got to get to work. So
yeah. So it's a strictly business when you get in there. You're not really in there fucking around or doing any of that shit.
I don't right there. I don't nothing.
We're usually right. People got their phones, so they'd be in their notes. Or are you somebody that likes kind of pen to paper or?
Yeah. Sometimes, like, when you on a fly or, like, if you out and about, you can't. But, like, if I'm at home, just chilling, nice, I get a cup of coffee, a nice blunt, and I'll just throw a beat on. And I'll do stuff like the pen and paper. It's old school. It's just, like, goes back to that image, that authentic shit. You know what I mean? Like,
when you blow up, like you're able to go back to that shit. Like, this shit has been written.
And it's such, like, a technological, like, feel now, too. It just gives me something, like, different. You know what I mean? Plus, you playing the beats off your phone and everything else nowadays. So, like, I like seeing it right in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, it's, again, it just feels like it helps keep you authentic. Again, it's a little bit more natural. It's a little bit more, of the world and not of technology and on the phone and typing shit out, and it just feels like it you get the feeling out a little bit more when you're physically doing it than when you're just fucking typing that shit. So
and no one can read my writing either, so it's good. Like ain't my
secret text.
Like, what the fuck is this? Hey, you can't read it, that's what matters, bro. Ain't nobody stealing
I can read that shit.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Shit, that's what's up, man. Yeah, no, I definitely I like sitting down talking to people from, especially from different parts of the country. It's different vibes and, kind of, again, a lot of it, I feel like, it's kind of the environment that you're in, and like that's what's going to inspire you or kind of influence what you're sounding like and shit like that. And so you can only really get that feel if you're in Florida or if you're in Cleveland or if you're in Philly or if you're in California and shit like that. And you really get that like, oh shit, like
y'all got a good music scene out here too.
From what I've seen, there's talent, and it makes sense because Orlando is a very, transient city. I think last year alone, like there was like, man, I know I'm gonna get this number wrong, but like 7 million people that like came through here just from like tourists or people just, you know, through the airport. And I mean, it makes sense. It's right smack dab in the middle of Florida. So we got Miami, Tampa right there, Jacksonville up there. Atlanta's only 6 hours away. Like it's a very, and in the past, you know, couple years, there's been a lot of new money coming in, you know, people from New York, people from California, people from Texas, you know, especially more up north, coming to Orlando and kind of seeing like, this is a, you know, an untapped place still. Like there's still a lot of potential. There's still a lot of room for growth. And in the past couple of years, you know, we're starting to see that, you know, like I said, a lot of new money, a lot of money coming into renovations to the city and things like that, bringing new things, you know, putting money into bringing events here and things like that. So, you know, it's definitely, you know, like I said, you know, I've had you know, quite a few local artists on that, you know, I feel like, you know, they got talent and, you know, they should be, you know, bigger than what they are. It's just a matter of, you know, get in front of the right people. And I mean, just steady grinding. I mean, I feel like for me, at least, like, you know, this, you know, podcast, I've been doing it for about 6 years now, but it's starting to pop off at the right time. Like, you know, I'm starting to get in front of the right people at the right time. And I said, that, you know, that new money's coming in. So, you know, I got, you know, people from outside of the state coming in, other rappers, you know, entrepreneurs, people that, you know, and it's, you know, like we said in the beginning, timing is a fucking, you know, you either land on the right time or you don't. Like, you know, there's that small window of opportunity, and then, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm a spiritual person, so I do feel like there is, you know, there is some type of like, type shit, but, you know, also
you gotta take that time too.
You got to put in the time to get to that time. You got to put in that work to get people to notice you. Like, and I was talking about it with Spazzo, like, you know, people want to say lucky and it's luck and shit like that, but the lucky people are usually the ones that are busting their ass. Like, I don't see a fucking bum being lucky. I don't see a homeless person being lucky. They're not putting in the work. So, like, you know, yeah, you can call it luck, but, you know, part of it is too is that, you know, I've been putting in the work. He's been putting in the work. Y'all, you know, putting in the work to
man.
Facts. It's preparation that has come to that now this is the result of that
moment.
And, you know, you got to be out. You got to be in front of people. You got to talk to people. You got to market yourself. You got to, you know, again, image, you know, all the things that go into that shit to get lucky. And yeah, you know, it might be, you know, again, right place, right time, but how'd you get to that right place, right time?
Right.
So, you know, it's
every decision you made brought you to that point to make that decision.
Facts. So, you know, I hear when people say that, but it's like, miss me with that shit. Like, you know, fucking tighten up. We're all adults here now. Like, you know, you can't be just blaming everything else at this point. Like, at a certain point, you got to take on that responsibility on yourself and figure out what you're doing and what you're not doing.
Right.
And,
exactly.
And hone that shit in and figure it out. So, what you know, new artists, you know, artists now that you listen to that you're kind of like, that you're fucking with, you know, on your own time, if you're not listening to your own music or, you know, or putting in work on your own shit.
Florida boy, LOE Shimmy, I just found him.
Actually, I haven't even heard of him.
He's going on tour with Lil Baby. I just stumbled across him. He a new rapper.
Yeah.
I also fuck with Kasky from out this way.
Oh, for real? Yeah. No, he grew up like in the same area that I did. 407 Kasky. Yeah. I think he went to one of like my rival high school, Winter Springs High School, if I'm not mistaken. I went to Lake House. So yeah, he was over in that area. And like when I was in high school, he had just signed to Young Money. So you know, I'm in high school. We're all hearing about this shit. Like, oh shit, like this dude right down from the street.
So
like,
dope. He's so another, like, that's a dude that I met that super genuine.
Yeah.
Like, just met him as a fan, bro, and just talked to him. And then the next time I seen him, I asked him to do photography at a show. And he let me. Like, he just a genuine ass dude, like real dude, bro.
That's what's up.
He a cool ass, another cool ass artist I listen to and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to tap into, you know, trying to get some of those artists on here. Like, you know, I've been starting to reach out to some people and things like that, and, you know, see if I can get them on, because fuck it. I mean, especially, you know, I think it's important to, you know, when you have somebody that has some success that is like in close proximity to you and grew up in the same area, I think it's important to get that shit out there and like kind of show that, like, you know, it's not just one person that's gonna, like, we can all, like I was saying before, like, you know, there's enough for all of us to eat. There's enough for everybody to have a piece of the pie. It's just a matter of of who's splitting the pie, who's giving out the pieces and shit like that. So, it definitely, I think that's a good thing. It's inspiring to other people in your area and in the place that you grew up, that it's like, fuck, like we can all, there's, like I said, there's enough out here for everyone.
Right,
so.
that community shit, not competition. It's different when you finally tap into that. You know what I mean? I feel like you got to get past that first level of like all the weirdos and the wags and shit. And then,
well, in a sense, yes. I feel like, once you start kind of like coming through and start making a name for yourself, people are like, oh, bet, like, cool, like, want to help you out. And then it does, if you start doing too good, then it's like, all right, because then then it's competition for them. Then it's kind of, they might see it as you taking food off their plate, and it's like, nah, dog, like, that ain't it. It's just, I'm here now, like, that's what it is. So, like, so I feel like I feel like competition is good. I feel like a healthy level of competition is good. But, when you start dealing with, people's livelihoods and shit like that, understandably, people start taking shit a little bit more personal, even though it might not be. And, what are you going to do at that point? I guess you kind of have to deal with it as it comes and shit like that. But, I feel like if we're able to tap into, that, like I said, there's enough out here for everyone, especially, with social media and all that shit and the connectivity of that and things like that. I feel like, there's so much more money to be made now than there was, 10, 15, 20 years ago where it kind of made a little bit more sense to gatekeep then. Now to me, like, I understand it, but it just doesn't really make as much sense because there's, I can be, I'm based out of Orlando, but I can build an audience on the other side of the country. I can build an audience on the other side of the world. So you don't necessarily need your local, shit like that, which I do think it helps. And I'm definitely, an advocate for that shit. But like, say,
there's like a part 2 where you gotta leave that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then come back to them once you made it and shit. Like,
and give back then. Right, So, I mean, it's a game. It's a balancing game. It's a, kind of, again, you kind of have to roll with the punches sometimes and kind of take shit as it comes. But like I said, I think, at this point, if you're still kind of gatekeeping like that, I think you're just insecure and being a little greedy. And
we ain't got no time for that.
For real. We out here just trying to fucking spread peace and love. That's it. But man. What else we got? Shit, I've asked you about artists that you listen to. I guess what are your goals? I guess more short-term goals, and I guess off of that, what is the bigger picture goal with what you're trying to do?
I mean, I feel like the big picture, obviously a Grammy. Everybody want a Grammy, but like,
so that's something you already have in mind. Like that's something that you kind of came into with that vision.
Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, why not? That's the best thing you could get. That's like the gold medal of Olympics. You know what I mean? So that'd just be cool to have up on the mantle and shit one day. But I don't know. I still, like I said, I'm still just finding my lane and just networking and I just want to grow and just meet cool people, man. Like, it's just cool being an artist, bro, and just getting to meet other artists and shit, and just like it opens your worlds, cause like so being a creative and then you meet another creative, now y'all just created another world that's like, you know what I mean, and it just, I don't know, watching that shit get to happen and shit is cool. So,
watching shit happen in real time is a fucking beautiful thing, especially like you said, when you have a vision, another person has a vision, and you're able to get it out into the world, and like it's coming out how you had it in your head. I think like it's a very like gratifying, like
it's a
great feeling. Ever, like there's not too much that can really top that shit. So, damn, I'm not used to doing 30 minutes. That's
it?
Yeah, no, but I mean, go ahead, plug your shit up real quick. Social medias, if you got any projects jumping out, any last words that you want to give out, things like that.
Yes, sir. So I am Astro Blaze. You can find me at Astro Blaze 216 on everything. And go listen to my debut album, Piece of Shit, on everything, Spotify, Apple Music, all that.
I'm gonna have to tap into that. I'll fucking start posting some of that shit.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, come in here real quick. Spazzo and KT.
Hey, yo.
That fucking Orlando Cleveland connection. We got to get this shit on camera.
Sir.
Come on in here. Fucking, we about to wrap this up. This is part 3 of episode 219. I said it was episode 218 on yours, but this is episode 219.
219.
We've been putting in work, 6 years of work. But like, subscribe, comment, rate, all that good shit. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Catch us on Instagram at No Hangover. Catch us on TikTok at No_Hangover. This is the fucking Orlando Cleveland connection. We're gonna make it happen. It's gonna be a beautiful thing for everybody. Yeah, fucking let's make this shit happen. Episode 219, part 3, done in the books. Everybody love everybody. Deuces. You already fucking know.
Hell yeah.